Joining me now for reaction, Congressman Matt Gaetz and Fox and Friends weekend co-host and author of Modern Warriors, Pete Hegseth. All right, so Congressman, you were in the Capitol when this whole thing went down. What was your feeling like then?
It was awful. President Trump earlier in the day had called for protests to be peaceful and patriotic. This was neither of those things. I'm grateful that we had members of Congress like Ruben Gallego, who showed folks how to put on their masks without hyperventilating because tear gas had been deployed in the Capitol. And we had others like Jim Jordan ensuring that the female members of Congress had protection and were not directly in any harm's way. But without question, this was a day that utilized political violence to make a point, and we should condemn that on both the right and the left, whether it's one awful day at the Capitol or many months of an awful summer, seeing businesses lit ablaze and police stations stormed. This is no way to resolve our disputes. Now, the Republicans in Congress showed up to have a debate, to make an objection, to follow a process that was expressly contemplated in the Constitution. And for that, we got called a bunch of seditious traitors by the mainstream media and by our Democrat colleagues. Some are even trying to expel us from the chamber now for having a debate. And so when Democrats try to delegitimize the duly elected president in Donald Trump, when they try to not seat or expel duly elected members of Congress when they don't like our political views or our tactics, it makes it very hard for them to then call for unity, because it seems like Democrats only seek unity on their terms, and that unity has been quickly jettisoned. Now, as I'm chatting with you, I'm increasingly concerned the Democrats are drafting articles of impeachment to further divide America in days when we really ought to be focusing on the policies that can improve the lives of our fellow Americans.
Yeah, Pete, Nancy's now threatening the president with either has to resign or she's going to issue articles of impeachment next week. I don't see how that brings the country together at all. I think this is just going to stoke the flames of division. And if she thinks that she can unite the country around impeaching someone with, less than 2 weeks to go to serve out his term, that's just bananas. And that's going to create a huge groundswell of anger on the right that I don't think is ever going to be tamped down.
Oh, you're right. I mean, this call for unity is completely disingenuous. It's unity if you agree with me. Of course, they'll do election reform, but it can't include all the things you mentioned. A voter ID, maybe not having months long of voting. Maybe we're not massive mail-in batting without verification and signatures. They'll cut a deal as long as it's all on their side. Of course, as you pointed out, Jesse, the left will overreach inevitably. Their desire for control is insatiable. And with all branches of government, they will push too far using, and Orwellian is not wrong right now. This is not just government authoritarianism. This is corporate authoritarianism. This is moral authoritarianism with the whole woke idea, either you're with us or you're the enemy. It's bureaucratic authoritarianism. Across the board, it's technological with social media. George Orwell got it right with 1984 and Animal Farm. We're living it right now, and they're applying it to the lives of regular citizens. And you know, Jesse, I was actually on the Mall underneath the Washington Monument listening to the president's speech that day. Massive crowd. I've spent as much time as anyone with the MAGA crowd, with these folks at Fox and Friends diners almost every week across the country and rallies. You have too. I know these people. These are good, honest, decent, hardworking, law-abiding people who appreciate that they had a president who actually listened to them and appreciated what they're going through while they're being canceled and they're being told that, you know, what did we say? What did Anderson Cooper say recently? They're just Olive Garden, Holiday Inn Express people, you know, the rubes of our country. They can't get rid of that viewpoint. Donald Trump listened and understood, something the Republicans have often never done and would be right to learn from. And ultimately, their frustration manifests in this unfortunate situation. But when you feel like your culture is gone and you're being canceled, and then you feel like the ballot box is gone, what recourse do you have? Tell me where you go next. That's why the frustration bubbled up. You articulated it well in your monologue.
Yeah, and when we're not condoning it, we're just explaining it. And you hit it. I mean, the president is a crusader for the working class, and that's why the people in Congress need to put him down and put his people down, because I think, Congressman, if he gets impeached, he can't run again in 2024. Is this what this is all about? And do you think any of your Republican colleagues might sign on to something like that?
Well, there's secretly been an anti-Trump caucus within the Republican Party in Washington for a while, and I'm concerned that folks like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and others might view this as an opportunity. But, Jesse, the reason Democrats are talking about impeachment is because their hatred of Donald Trump is really the only thing that unifies this current constituency of Democrats. Like, the Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Democrats have very little in common with the Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden Democrats, other than a dislike of President Trump. And so they're trying to keep together what is likely otherwise an ungovernable coalition on these absurd grounds. But the tragedy is that it will harm the country. But they don't care if something hurts the country if it helps them consolidate and take power. And that is totally the mood of the Democrats as we have this discussion.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And when the president's gone in just a couple of weeks, that hatred's got to go somewhere. And I feel like it's going to be taken out on the American people. All right. And by the way, Pete, I want to see you later. But Congressman, before I let you go, congratulations. You're engaged. And we're all shocked. But we wanted to say congratulations to Congressman Matt Gaetz.
Well,
who has a very lovely fiancée, Ginger.
I want to thank Emma Waters. She observed our courtship on our 4th date, and she told me she knew it was true love. So as is usually the case, Emma Waters is right about everything.
I would agree with that. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Jesse.
This is Congressman Matt Gaetz. If you liked that video, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and join us on our daily podcast, Hot Takes with Matt Gaetz, on your favorite podcast listening platform.